this is Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and I'm at the Midwest Automotive Media Association Spring Rally, and that means I get to do some comparison videos. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the Volkswagen ID.4 versus the Nissan Aria. And this is not going to be a details video. I'm not going to get into the weeds on specifications and torque and all that stuff. Nope, literally what I want to do in this video is take a look at the exterior, take a look at the interior, and compare the two. So let's take a closer look right now. Now we do have a more detailed review of the Volkswagen ID.4, and if you want to take a look at that, that is going to be on the YouTube channel, and yeah, we'll have a link up above in the top corner. But here we go. Let's start with the details. So I really like these headlights and the details that you've got here, from the little dotted matrix you've got going on to just the light bar that will go across the front. I think the ID.4 looks really good, and they've paid a lot of attention to keeping it in the Volkswagen family and giving it some really nice Volkswagen styling, including right here with these wheels and the wheel cap that you've got in the center. But they just, you know, I've never had a complaint about the way this looks. You have a floating rear roofline. It seems to be popular in all of the SUVs these days. And then you've got some signature tail lights. You're going to start seeing, you know, the light bar go across in some of the upcoming Volkswagens, including the Atlas and the Atlas Cross Sport, and then the big Volkswagen logo there with the ID.4 badging. You do have some kind of plasticky matte black finish here on the rear bumper. I don't know that that looks super good. And then you have the same, you know, matte black plastic that is with the cladding that goes around the side. So this is just a quick look at the exterior of the ID.4. Again, I really like how the headlights work, and I like the light bar across the front, and the exterior, I think, generally looks pretty nice. Moving to the interior of the vehicle, this is where things, I think, get interesting and where you're really going to see these vehicles stand out. So I have the key in the vehicle, and the way that you turn it on is you literally just put your foot on the brake, and there you go. The vehicle has turned on. I'm still getting used to that in electric vehicles. So you do have some black lacquer on the steering wheel and some black lacquer here around the edges on this console area and here. But overall, I like the layout and the look. I like the simplicity of this design, and I like the large screen with, you know, this dash treatment, this accent. So no black lacquer there. It's more of a matted plastic accent, but again, you have more black lacquer here on the door panel. But I like the stitching. I like the seats. I like the ID logo that's perforated into the leather. And, you know, I think overall the design looks really good. So let's talk a little bit. Let's start here. So this is where your gear shift is. And in order to operate it, so as you can see, it's kind of attached to your gauge cluster. And so the way that you operate this, again, got to have your foot on the brake. But to put it into drive, you rotate it that way, and to put it into reverse, you rotate it that way. And then there's a button here on the end that you hit park. We should talk about your window switches. So yeah, if you hit your window switch, you'll notice there are only two, and you're going to get your front windows by hitting this switch. Now, if you want to open the rear windows, then you hit that, and you can see rear came on. And now when I hit the button, the rear window opens. So that's a little bit interesting. It takes some getting used to, but I like the simplicity of that because that's less buttons and less switches that you have to deal with. They pack a lot of information into this behind the wheel gauge cluster, and I find that to be interesting as well. So if we had route guidance active, or if we had the safety systems active, that is all in addition to your speed. And I don't know, I just, that's a lot of information for that small space. But I don't know, I think it works. And then you have your screen here that you can switch through. You can hit your climate controls right there, and you have your heated seats. You can turn your, adjust your temperature, and it syncs, so you have dual climate, but it's all operated through the screen. Oh, actually, you can do the temperature for the passenger. How does that work? Oh, is it slide or tap? Oh, on there. Okay. I'm like, how does that work? So it's up on the top there. So you can do your fan speeds. Oh, that's audio. Obviously, this would take some getting used to, but I think when we get to the Aria, you'll see that's going to take some getting used to as well. Is there anything else with the controls that I want to show you? Now, just overall, a really simple cluster area here. You've got your wireless charging, and I like the fact that they've got a little clip to hold your phone in place. You've got your USB-C charge ports there, cup holders with prongy things, always appreciated. Let's hop in the back seat and take a quick look. Oh, and I will point out, as soon as I took my butt out of the seat, the car turned off. So, you've got split folding seats. Again, this is more on the compact side of the spectrum in terms of an SUV, so you shouldn't really expect a lot of legroom back here, but I think that's decent. You have air vents, and then you have a couple of USB charge ports, and then a space to hold a device, a phone. These seats are padded, so if somebody taller's knees are pressing up against that, it's not going to hurt too much. I like the fact that they brought the perforation and the details into the back seat. And yeah, this seems to be a thing with electric vehicles. You also have this panoramic roof. One more quick look at the dash and the interior of the Volkswagen ID.4 before we switch to the Aria. And now I'm going to spend time with the Nissan Aria, and you can already see there is a big design difference here. So this has a lot more angular lines. I feel like the ID.4 was a little bit more swoopy, but you've got a lot more angles on the Nissan Aria, but you still have the floating roofline here and these pretty aerodynamic wheels. Yeah, that's going to be par for the course with an electric vehicle. But one of the things I really appreciate here is you have more shiny bits rather than the matted plastic look. I like that the cladding is a little bit brighter and looks a little bit more high-end. Now, I will point out this vehicle does cost $62,000, so maybe that plays into it a little bit. We didn't have a Monroney for the ID.4, so I don't have pricing on that. But you can definitely see the electric car influence here, you know, with the venting and the more aerodynamic shape. You have the light bar that will go across here for the Aria, but again, you have the more shinier cladding as opposed to the matte plastic look that you see on the ID.4. I think both vehicles are very attractively designed, but they're definitely different. This looks a little bit more blockier, where the ID.4 looks a little bit swoopier. I'm going to make that a word, swoopier. Let's go inside and check it out. Now, coming in, even looking at the door panels, you can notice that there are some really interesting up-level materials here. You've got some blue suede materials on the door panel, and then coming in, you've got this leather seating surface that is also blue. I like the white reverse stitch. I have to assume this is a more up-level package here, but I think it looks really attractive. I will say it's a bit discordant that the steering wheel is black leather with more of a brown stitching, but I overall really like the look of this blue. And again, you have the blue suede that transfers through onto the dash and then carries on to the door panel on the other side. I think that looks really nice. Something else that's really different here is you have this single pane of glass that goes across, so you've got a larger gauge cluster, and then you have this really large infotainment screen here. Something else I will point out is you've got some really nice detail on the door panel with the patterning. Even though it's plastic, it is not a black lacquer, so you're not going to get a lot of fingerprints on there. And yeah, I'm not seeing really much black lacquer. Okay, yeah, we have a little bit here on the steering wheel, but that's about it. I will say the Nissan Aria, even though it doesn't have really any buttons, looks a little bit more traditional. than the ID.4 did. It looks a little bit more elegant, a little bit more upscale. I like this bronzy finishing piece right here. You do have a volume knob, but other than that, you're going to have to take care of most of your controls through the infotainment screen, or you have these, they're not really buttons, touch points. Yeah, touch points to, oh, and they're a little bit haptic. Touch points for your climate controls there. And then when you come down here, you have more touch points for your drive mode and your like one pedal-ish driving, your e-step. But yeah, overall, this looks a lot more traditional. Again, right down to the gear shift. This is going to be a familiar Nissan gear shift that you have to, again, put your foot on the brake, but then you press this button in for your gearing. And both the ID.4 and the Aria have this B mode. So you can see here it switched into B. So it's just kind of like a double pull into the back position, which gives you some extra braking, some extra regenerative braking. But the Aria takes it one step further and gives you this E-step button, which will allow you to do more of a one pedal feel. Oh yeah, to put it back into park, make sure you hit that button. So two very drastically different interiors here. One is a little bit more clever. I would say the Volkswagen is clever. And this is going to be a little bit more traditional with a little bit more upscale, elegant look and feel to it, right down to the finishing touches. Yeah, I don't think I like these cup holders very much. I like the little prongy things. But overall, my preference, personal preference, is going to be the interior of the Aria. Would love to know what you guys think. Comment below. Let us know, ID.4 or Aria for the interior exterior design. Let's take a quick look at the back seat. And again, you've carried through the blue leather with the stitching, and then you have your heated seats back here. I'm going to say that's probably an available feature, not standard. And then you have your USB-C and USB-A charge ports back here. This is going to be a harder surface. So if somebody taller were sitting back here, again, more on the compact side of things, their knees are going to press up against a hard surface. So that was better in the ID.4. But you have a panoramic roof, again, but not a super large panoramic roof. It doesn't cover all the way to the back of the passenger seat. So just one more quick little look here at the interior. And we will wrap this up. Now, when you only have 10 minutes to drive each vehicle, it's very hard to do an in-depth comparison and analysis of how the vehicles drive in comparison. But I will say I like the Aria a little bit better because the belt line is a little bit lower, and that's better for somebody who's on the shorter side of the spectrum. I also like the fact that you have more of a one-pedal drive option in the Aria and not so much in the ID.4. But both are really solid vehicles. We have a full first look at the ID.4 on the channel, so be sure to check that out. And we will have a full review of the Nissan Aria coming up. So if you have questions about this vehicle, if there's anything you want to see on this that we did not show today, be sure to comment below and let me know, because when I do my review in a couple weeks, I'll be sure to address those questions. All right, so that is what I have on the Volkswagen ID.4 and the Nissan Aria. Did you have one that you liked better? Let us know. Comment below. For more information, be sure to check us out on the web at pickuptrucktalk.com, and I will see you down the road.